and the schedule, and I'm actually not sure where I've been coming or going. For those of you that, well, I'm sure everybody's feeling the same at the moment. So Debbie kindly filled my space in. She's my hero. Honestly, we work her to the bone, no? So here we are this afternoon. So, of course, good afternoon. Here is our little questions and answers. What I'm going to do is try to work it a little bit different for you this afternoon than this morning. I've got the presentation that we had on Wednesday and on Monday, of course, and I'll work through in sections, and then hopefully we can answer as many questions as we can on particular parts. So we'll look at a few slides and I'll say, look, this is about what we've got so far, and then we can ask questions for that, because otherwise we can sort of go off in lots of tangents. So keep messaging me so that I know that you're here and you can hear everything, because otherwise, I was saying to Declan earlier, it's the strangest feeling for me, being able to see everyone normally and engaging, and now you're sort of out here on your own, and I need to be able to see whether everyone can hear me or not. So one of the things that we, just at the top of the page here, I know one of our problems is, or people are not being able to see our posts quick enough for the Passion for Hair afternoons. Hi again. And just at the top of the screen, Declan will pop up some links and things for you that will be relevant. One of the things in our unusual timing at the moment, of course, is that we're all catching up online. I am definitely learning some new skills. I prefer cutting and colouring hair, that's for sure. But here we have all our websites and our social media that you can contact through for Census. Of course, we've got Census Lovers, our Facebook Census Italy, Instagram Census Hair Lovers, and info at I Love Census. And of course, we've got the website. I'm going to talk a little bit about the website for you because I think that's really important for now and how we keep upgrading our skills and what we're doing. Also, Dec's going to pop up some links for the Passion for Hair Stylist Hotline, so that you've also got these just across the top. You'll see them, hopefully, Dec. And other ones throughout the this webinar, so that you can see those of you that are not linked in with those. One of the things we said today is if everyone could share the links with their team, get them motivated. So when we're reminding the rest of our team, some people are finding it easy to get on, some are not. This actual system that Passion have got is really, really easy. I like it. It's doing really well. Okay, so if I quickly show you here on the website, we've got, no, don't do that to me, Jude. We've got here, just circled in the red, we've got our technical department. We are hugely following the idea of being green, so we are not doing lots of printouts, but here you can pick up absolutely everything about our product knowledge. So if I show you, if you click on the technology part, you will find a picture of the product. You can download all the information that you need. I'm just checking to make sure. Hi. You can download all the information about every product. What would be good now is if we need to do some training manuals, that we can get these set up for our salons now. Everything is up to date, and it's here it's in Italian, but I promise you it's in English too. And we can build these portfolios and get them ready for when we reopen. I think it's a great way to make sure our knowledge is the same, so that we're able to, you know, have the same dialogue, be able to talk about the same things. Let me show you here. So, of course, we've got care. That's all the Illumina, just so that you guys have all signed up for the census ones. That is in one of our meetings. I think it's one of the last two, maybe the last one. And you'll see everything to do with Illumina, treatments, how to get the best. I think there's about 4,000 treatments that you can actually pick up. And then we've got style. So that will be everything to do with the new Taboo collection. So if you guys have, some of you have got it in already, some of you have not seen it. If you haven't, the new style range is on there. And again, you'll be able to pick up every piece of information. You'll be able to download and build up your own brochure. You can even put the prices with it so people can see and have a look. It's got ways, obviously simple ways that you can use it. Here we've got our collections. So our latest collection, if you guys know, is the Earth collection. This part I think is not ready for step by step, but our other collections, our previous ones, they have got step by steps. So I love the new taboo too, Georgia. Hi. Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm loving it. I love the whole new packaging and some of the products as well. Declan, my presentation has disappeared. There it is. There we go. Sorry for that. I am still learning how to be super quick on the computer. So all our previous collections are on there. So step by step. So if you're doing any in-salon training kind of situations, preparing for those, or if you're doing video links for guys that you've got your model heads, you can actually go through these step by step. We can't talk about the academy now because everything's changing hugely and fast, but we're trying to keep up with these with mini blocks of different parts of the product. So here was our first one that we did on Monday. We'll go through the first three. Here, let's go to this one so you guys can see. So the first part I would say is about the different tastes. If any of you got any, thank the Lord for the new packaging. Yes. Have you got any questions about the tastes? Everyone was really good with that. They know where the taste for all three products sits. So we have here, if I show you this one, M3K being our warmest, MC2 being in the center but towards the cold, and Giulietta, of course, being the coldest one that we've got at the moment. You guys are all right with those? I can't see any other questions, so that's good. I think everything's good on those. Brilliant. So I'll move forward quickly. I know that there are a couple of questions about these slides for you guys. Okay, so if I'm pausing, it's just because I'm looking at the questions at the same time. This is about our alkali, so our ammonia. So what we've been talking about here is being able to make sure that we follow what the consumers require. So of course we have MC2, which is ammonia free, and we've got Giulietta and M3K, which does contain our ammonia. These slides and these parts were to talk about our traditional ammonia being in a gas form, and this is why you can get that really strong smell. So it smells very different, Giulietta, to MC2. And then, of course, we've got Mia, which is a derivative from here. It's got slightly less chemical activity. So you'll really see the difference when you, for example, my difference would be when I'm looking at Giulietta, when I'm thinking about the high lifts here, is really different to the high lift in MC2. I can really notice quite a lift more on Giulietta than I can with MC2. Are you guys all clear with that? I know I noticed yesterday some of the questions were about those. Yeah, thanks Maria. Marcus, yeah. Good. Any other questions about this part? Oh, I shall just carry on rambling, which is good. Okay, so the next part we'll talk here is just so that you guys have got it. If you need me to slow down or you want to pick up a slide, then please let me know, because you can take the image from it if you need to. We're going to talk a little bit about performance and how they all are. Here you might want to ask me, one of the questions earlier, can the brands be intermixed? No, definitely no. So, of course, if I show you here, we've got all three lines there from the brand. and you can't mix them over. If you're doing a set of highlights and you want some really warm copper pieces, you can of course use M3K in a foil on its own and then use a high lift tint from Giulietta. For sure, you're going to keep your notes, but you can't mix them in a bowl together, definitely. Not recommended, because of course Giulietta's got ammonia, MC2 doesn't, and the formulas are all very, very different. I'm going to talk here about performance because I know there'll probably be a few questions about white hair coverage and lightening the natural melanin. So this for me about performance and how each one performs with this, because they're all slightly different. Do you guys notice that? What about peroxides? Yes? What about peroxides? Do you want me to talk about the peroxides, which level, or for covering white hair? I think she's writing to me. Okay, so I'm going to just talk here about the performance as the questions are coming through. Now, 25 years ago, I would say probably our main concern was to cover white hair. And that was because mostly we were just blending in the roots. So the colours stayed really natural, and we were always taught to use 20 vol to cover white hair. Now, I think this is not really a problem for us, and never really, especially with our ammonia-free colour, which I know that lots of other hairstylists, or if you've used other lines in the past, this can sometimes be a problem to get your head round. Can we mix Lux with M3K, for example? Yes, you can indeed. The Lux Developer is the more creamy formula, it's slightly thicker, and it has the argan oil in. There is not any difference with their power. So 10 volume in the cream, and the Lux does the same as each other. One just has argan oil for a little more protection and a little bit more luxurious feeling, so it makes everything feel a little bit more creamy. One of the questions I get a lot is, why doesn't the Lux Developer have cosmetic fix? Do you guys get that a lot? I know some of the yep. Okay, so I can answer that with, when we're thinking about the cream developer, we think about the cream developer being very fluid, so it's really easy to use. I like it for bleach as well. I can talk about that separately, but for not being in the Lux Developer, it's a very thick product, so it's very creamy, very thick. When we're using cosmetic fix, they're for toners, and we need to be a little bit faster, a little bit more fluid. So it's better in the cream mixture. Does that make sense? Ah, I get it. Okay, that's good. I'm happy. Yep. So those of you that only use the Lux, of course, now you're still going to need to pick up your cosmetic fix. But don't forget, we also have the 5 volume in the cream, which is the new developer for you guys. Do you guys use that much? You can use that in the same way as you would use cosmetic fix, although you use the mixture for 1 to 1.5. If you need to do 1 to 2, you can. And the reason that we've got that 5 volume, it's developed really for our nudes and metallics, but you can use it with other toning systems if you need to. So if you need to create another toner, you can. If you wanted to use M3K toners, you could use the 5 volume Lux. And that just gives you a little more time, because the slightly higher the volume, the longer the oxidation. So it just gives you more time. That's all good? Okay. So here we have the performance of, oh, I keep making my screen bigger. Here we have the performance of grey hair coverage on M3K and why it's different for Giulietta. I usually get this question quite a lot. So if you guys need to know the answer for that, when we changed the MC2 formula, there was no difference in the colour taste and how the feel of the colour. So it was still the same coolness. We haven't changed any of that. We just improved the formula. So you guys that had MC2 before to what it is now, you'll notice that it is an improved formula. We don't, it's 100% that nice blanket coverage. When you think about the grey hair coverage for Giulietta, I'm going to show you something on the app as well. If I can get that quickly, I can. So when you think about the coverage for Giulietta, Giulietta was designed to be a more brilliant and show more reflection of tone. Can you mix the old MC2 with the new MC2? Yep, you can. That's no problem. It's fine. It's no problem. It's just an improved formula, as in we've now got the added arc technology in with our new MC2. So let's go back to the coverage on Giulietta. You will still, of course, get 100% grey coverage, but when you're thinking about those fashion tones, we now split it down into 3 lots of how much grey hair you've got, because the brighter the reflection, probably the more base that you'll need. It was designed to be more lifting and more brilliance of reflection. I love Giulietta, actually. It's probably, aside of being great for the lifting, but just because I like that kind of iridescent feel on some of my clients. So if I know they've got a high percentage of grey hair, I sometimes always don't put my maximum amount of base that I need, just because I really like that softness. And I've got those clients who particularly like that. Yes, but I wouldn't do it if your client is vegan and wants MC2 for that reason. No, old MC2 was still, I think the ingredients on there, oh, stop that, Jude, with the, do if your client's vegan and wants MC2 for that reason. Mix the old MC2 with the new MC2 for the vegan. Okay, so yes, you're right, Georgia. So that part, although I think I'll have to check on the ingredients factor on that one for you, but I'm sure that Michaela said that that was absolutely fine, even on the vegan aspect. But I'll double check on that, because I know that a couple of ingredients were taken out, but not everything for us isn't a problem in the fact we don't test on any animals at all whatsoever. We have no testing on that. And I can only think of honey that is in that particular. I'm sure it was beeswax that was in, that was, yeah, I was just about to say either honey or beeswax. But I'm going to double check on that one for you, for sure. And I'll pop that up in our chat on the Passion for Hair one, just to double check on that. But that's a good call. Let me write that down, because otherwise I'll forget. All right, so here we are with here. So anything on the ingredients? Some of you guys have picked up some of the ingredient factors. If I'm going too fast on the slides and you need those so that you can pick up this one. These are the amino acids for the softness of the hair. I'll explain more on the 00, I sure will. That's just in the next part down from these slides. So I'll just cover these ingredients here. This for me actually is important when I'm educating our future professionals. So I want to think about removing the product as well. Often we add too much water before. So the new MC2 isn't vegan? Yes, new MC2 is definitely vegan. We were just checking whether the older MC2 had a couple of ingredients, as in the beeswax, that didn't make it vegan. But the new MC2 is totally vegan. Is fine for that for you, Cheryl. Here we are. I'll show you the ingredients for the new MC2. So we have maximum coverage. We don't have any PPD, no parabens, no silicons, and no added resorcinol. We know that that's an irritant to us, so we don't have any of those in. So it's very calming, very gentle on the scalp, and of course also for the hair. One of the things to make sure is that it's not an organic colour. Please don't say it's organic to your clients, because I know that this is often talked about. It's an oxidative colour, so it's still a professional hair, permanent hair colour. It's just that it's free without these added ingredients in, making it as gentle as it can be. Okay, so just scooting through here, we've got quinoa, which is really good for prolonging the colour. I know some people are talking about being gluten-free. That's quite a big talked about subject. Here we've got acacia berries or acai berries to moisturise for stressed hair. Actually, this is really good for anti-aging as well. So it's fantastic for a different kind of market for your clients, if you like. This is really fantastic for that. And generally that type of market is usually starts to get a lot more sensitive to products. So thinking about your MC2, taking it that way is a really good opportunity for your clients. Here we are. Here is our ARC technology. This is definitely a new ingredient added to our MC2. And this is to help with the hair fibres. It's perfectly measured in our new MC2. So we, of course, don't add any more whilst we're colouring, but I shall go over that in just a little while. Any other questions about the ingredients? Are you all good? Just let me know. Good. Brilliant. Thank you. So I'm going to talk to you here. We'll go through our special features. All good. Great. Here is our special features. One of the things here for you guys that use Impact Red and Impact Copper, we talked about it being 4 tones on natural hair, just to remind everyone. And generally it's always used with 40 volume because it's a high lifting effect. So for you guys that just double checking, it's great on coloured hair that is around maybe a 5, the darkest, maybe a 4 if you want a small amount of movement. But I would say 5 and 6, you'll get a really great result with this. Now, one of the things that I find is important to talk about, what do you do when you need to maintain this contrasting colour, the 2 contrast colours? You can use the 40 volume on the roots, but yeah, great, Fard, exactly. But don't reapply the 40 volume through the already Impact Red or Impact Copper's hair. Forget about this product, thanks for the reminder. Yeah, it's a great little product, but you can't overlay it because of course you'll keep getting a lifting effect and it will keep getting lighter and lighter. So you can use it on the roots. Perhaps with the Impact Red, you might want to use 655, something like that with red modulator. That will give you, so if you're putting it in packets, you'll be able to do the roots and then lay a different colour through the ends. You could use the 6555 red modulator and you could also use nectar in that. So then it has a chance to protect and restruct at the same time. It's a really important thing to remember with the Impact Red and Copper. Okay, so does it lift on coloured hair? Yep, it will lift on coloured hair, but for example, on my hair, you wouldn't see that much movement because it's black. It's best done on around about a base 5, 6, 7. You'll get really fantastic results on that. And it's a very quick service. You can put that in foils and use that really quickly. You're welcome. This one, I think lots of us forget about our pastel toners, and they're really gentle, they're really nice. Of course, if your silver is too silver for you, you can intermix that with some natural. Your beige as a toner really looks like your 0.2s from MC2 and Giulietta, which of course we don't have in M3K. And so when I say they're intermixable, these pastel toners are intermixable, of course, but you wouldn't mix the gold in with silver. That would just be kind of a nonsense effect, really. But pastel toners are fantastic for pre-lightened hair, or even if you need to revitalise old highlights, the beige is fantastic. So if you did your highlights with your high lift tint, for example, super high lift, you could then run a pastel toner through the ends just to revitalise that. Maybe it would be the natural, just to take a little of the yellow out. Don't forget to add your nectar. That would be a really good tip. Anything else on pastel toners? You guys are good? Good, yeah, good. They're kind of a little bit forgotten, I feel, sometimes, but they're a really beautiful shade. And sometimes it gives you, there they are, and they don't, sometimes you can do quick things with them in packets and you don't have to think about doing a toner of our usual toners that we tend to go to. Sometimes these chaps in Blonde Takeover, exactly, yeah, they did. And I think these are just sometimes a little reminder to make ourselves get outside of the box. Yeah, I agree, since in Blonde, yes. But the whole idea for the next few meetings is that we take ourselves and get ourselves out of our current rhythm and to learn some other new things, because, or just to remind ourselves of other things. We thought Argento was wonderful 5 years ago. Yeah, we did. And it still is. It's beautiful. It's a little softer. And don't forget, of course, it's with M3K. And the background colour for M3K is much warmer. So it will be a much softer silver than our in Blonde Takeovers. Absolutely. Yeah, it does keep our brain active, Maria. Absolutely. All right, let's talk about a couple of the special features in Giulietta, because people often ask me why we don't have a green booster or modulator in Giulietta. And so we have our 0.18. This was designed, so we don't really need a green added booster. So we've got our 0.18. They're to be used with the natural series. So often I get with clients, I don't know about you guys, perhaps you've used the 5.0, but they're like, oh, I have a lot of red in my hair, so it always comes up red. 0.18 is your go-to. Of course, this is so good. Yeah. 0.18 is to, yeah, I love 1/8 as well, is really to get rid of that orange or red feel. So the first time that you colour the hair and you see that 5.0 is probably a little too warm, or maybe 5.1 isn't the right shade for you, the 1/8 will just neutralise. Now, it's best to start with small amounts, so only ever a quarter, until you get the right shade. If you're to use 1/8 on its own, you're going to know that it's really quite flat. So it's really got that real muddy kind of feel to it if you use it alone. I use this a lot for colour correction, as in, or corrective colour work if it's my work, that perhaps they're like a red everywhere and then they want to be a flat 5.0, thank you. Sometimes it's really difficult when you go to get rid of that red feel on the ends and it keeps coming back. This 1/8, because of the longevity of the colour, is brilliant. Don't forget, if you're using it for the mid-lengths and ends, to make sure that you use nectar inside, because that will also help with the structure of the hair. Here we are. Is there anything on the, is 1/8 just in Giulietta? Yes, it is just in Giulietta. Thank you. So here we are now. I'm going to talk about the 000 for you guys. Let me just say, before we start anything, is not a clear. So when we designed, I say we, I definitely didn't design it, but we talk about it. When Giulietta was designed, it was designed to be a brilliance and a lifting colour. So something that was much brighter in reflection. So the 000 was designed to be able to give us an extra level of lift with the classic colour series. Just in Giulietta. Just to let you know, definitely not a clear. When you're using clear, this makes everything more pastelised. When you're using the 000, you're actually getting almost the whole shade level of lightness. So, for example, the best way to explain it, if you are a base 4, it's very difficult to get to a base 8 without, we can use high lift if we want to, but perhaps if they want an 8.0, our idea would be that we would use 8.0 with 40 volume, but 40 volume only gives you 3 levels of lift. So we can use 000 in our mixture and give us an extra shade of lift. So what 000 does is gives more power to the pot of colour, if you like. Does that make sense, guys? Yep, it does. Yes, good. It's great for things like, brilliant. So it's great for things like for example, we don't have a 9.4. Which was a help already coloured hair? No, it doesn't. Okay, so I'm going to go over those questions now. If we don't have 9.4, for example, in our shade guide, if we don't have enough of this colour, we require that. That's what the client wants. Actually, this one's a little bit too dark, but I'd like it just a little bit lighter than that. We could actually say, okay, for example, we can use 8.4 with the 000 and we're going to create our own colour. So some of the questions here I'll answer so I don't lose them. Will 000 help lift already coloured hair? No, tint doesn't lift tint. So this is designed to help lift natural hair. We can't get any lifting with this. If we need soft lift like that, we can use lightening oil. By the way, that's next week's presentation. So if you guys are on Monday and Wednesday, you guys will get all of those parts for lifting. This is purely for natural hair. Yes, it would if you mix a quarter of... yep, no. 000 doesn't lift already coloured hair. No. Could you explain the ratio of 000 again? Yep, I can. So basically, if you've got 40 grams of colour, so whatever you're using, you're going to have 60 grams of 40 volume, 12%. So that's 40 volume. We need a quarter of the cream mix. Is different mixture to how we would with nectar. So we just need a quarter of whatever your cream mix is. So that will be 10 grams of our 40 grams of colour. And you just add that in. So if you know your mixture is going to be 40 grams, how much would you add for, let's say, 60 grams of colour? Oh, why would you make me have to do my measurements? Can't you do that for 80 grams of colour? So I always work on 100 ml. I always work on 100 ml basis. I'm really good at colouring hair sometimes. Try to be most of the time, but I'm not great with maths. Maria, thank you. 15 grams. Love her. It's not my forte, maths. So I always work on 100 grams. You'll notice that throughout all of our technical guides, everything is done on 100 grams because then you can add or take away really simply for us and for quickness. So does that make sense with the 000s? Just to remind you, do you need extra peroxide or not? No, you don't. It's just for the mixture of the colour, so you do not add any more peroxide. Perfect. And just to let you know, it's not to be used with super high lift. The super lighteners, this part is really important. Super lighteners have their own formula. If we are to add the 000 to that, this is made for our classic colour series in Giulietta. So what we would actually do is reverse that effect for super lighteners, because we would dilute the power and we would also dilute the tone. So if you want 119, for example, in Giulietta, by the way, is my favourite, it would come up really, really golden. So it's not a recommendation of mine. I've been told can help. 000 can help remove colour. Is that colour bands? Colour bands, yeah. Okay, so tint doesn't lift tint. I tell you what it's good for. I would actually use lightening oil. You're going to get more of a repeatability factor. So when we're thinking about how to use these products, which are the best way round? So probably on very fine hair, you may get some movement with 000, but really it's designed not to, it's a tint. So tint doesn't really lift tint. You may find that one time that yes, lightening oil will be with peroxide. I can explain that in a second. What you find that maybe one time you'll get some lift on fine hair, and then another time it might not work for another client, and then you've sort of wasted your time and your product, because the idea is to be resourceful with our products. So the things that we're talking about at the moment, the best way to use Giulietta 000 is like that. If we want to remove bands, we can use lightening oil, which is a great way to remove bands, and it's repetitive, and also is very gentle for the hair. So think about when we're using products like super high lift, they're going to have a higher alkali feel to them to be able to get that lift. So for me, lightening oil is much more gentle formula. Is that good for the bands and those things? Yeah. With lightening oil. Okay, great. Thanks, Emma, because that's a really good, it was, I know, Ruth, for the lightening oils, because that's a really good question. With lightening oil, is a level of hair you wouldn't use it on? No, lightening oil is actually, it's one of our babies in our salon. We really like it. So you can, it's a very gentle formula, so it's really slow lifting. You're probably only going to get, you'll get up to 3 levels of lift with it. We are going to go into details with it next week. We've got a girl that works with us who, his hair is almost as dark as mine, and is really long, like way down here, really super long. And we use the lightening oil just to, each week we just did an episode with lightening oil and 30 volume. We didn't put any bleach in, and each week for probably about a good couple of months, I would say, we got a level of lift. So she then managed to get to sort of a base 5 without bleaching her hair. But that's a long, it's a long sort of process, but it's very gentle. So we can do things sometimes without always having to bleach, or without having to use colour removers. So, which is next week, by the way. Okay, so I covered super high lift, not to be mixed in with there. That's good and clear for you guys. Brilliant. Thank you. If you have 6.4 and use lightening oil, would you get to a 7.4? Okay, so lightening oil is not to be intermixed with our cream colours. You won't forget the taking off colour off, will you? No. No, I won't. So if you, one of the questions here is, if you have 6.4 and use lightening oil, would you get to a 7.4? So we're talking separate here. If the client has 6.4 on her hair and you want to get to a 7.4, you could put lightening oil all over her hair with 30 volume, no bleach, and she would become a 7.4. Yes, for sure. And you'll still keep that vibrancy. You can't, of course, just to remind you, not mix lightening oil in with any of our creams. That one, yeah, perfect. They're two separate products. I'm saying that just because sometimes people ask me about intermixing things, so I'm always keeping a track of saying, no, you can't do that. Earlier in the presentation or in the meeting, we were talking about when you remove colour. So it's really important that we remind our future professionals when they're taking off colours for us, or if we're doing that ourselves. And I know it's something that we are talking a lot about, how when we go back, we will probably be doing more of our own work so that there's not too many people on one client, because I'm sure things are going to change in our industry, and it's always important to look. The ingredients that we have, like the coconut oil, our meadow flowers, the oil from the meadow flowers, they're really nourishing and they're really good. So they are really good emollients. So that is why we encourage you not to add too much water to start with, to be able to massage that colour. We're not talking about scrubbing it into the scalp. We're talking about massaging gently to activate those emollients and remove it off the scalp and off the hair before we add our water. And then, of course, we can shampoo and so forth afterwards. I think that was probably what we were talking about. I think, yeah. Great. All right, where are we? So we can look at MC2. MC2, our 0.71s. You guys love these. They're brilliant. These are our to neutralise high level tones. So when we're thinking about shades of like 9, 10 and 11, these are great for anti-yellow. Yeah, my favourite. Me too. Georgia, yes, yes, yes. They're lovely. And these are great for cooling effects on bleach hair. They actually give you sort of like a little powdery pink feel. So they're really fantastic for anti-yellow and orange. Great as a toner. Brilliant. Any other questions about our special features? Did I cover all those little parts for you? Anything on, because the next part that we're going to go on to is, yes, all good, is onto our nectar, our restructure system. Okay, stop it. Thank you. I'm talking to myself at the same time because my computer keeps going big and small. All right, so here is our restructuring system. You can see we've got our green and white is for nectar with no ammonia colours, and nectar for ammonia colours, M3K and Giulietta is in the bronze and white. Also with the non-ammonia, don't forget we can use that in blonde. And also don't forget, if you're using nectar in nudes and metallics, it will dilute that slightly because they already have a small amount of nectar inside. If you guys know that, so I'm just letting you know that information. Of course, we can use the nectar bronze in the pastels for M3K, in any of the toning systems. When we're toning with Giulietta, we'll use the bronze. You guys got any questions about the nectar? That you love it. I'm happy about that. So what we have is my favourite, mixing ratios. I'm going to do that now for you. I don't know anything here. It's a lot though. Okay, so originally we started off with the nectar for MC2, which is in the green and white packet, and this has got our ARC technology in, We have a small amount in MC2 already, and then this extra cream is for added services towards the mid-lengths and ends. So the idea is that we wanted to create the same one for with the bronze and the white for ammonia colours, because after studying we realised that the ammonia-free nectar, even though it's the same technology, the formulation as in the measurements are slightly different for products with ammonia in. So that's why we brought out a second one, so that we get the real added benefits from the nectar, which we noticed that the ammonia-free nectar inside ammonia colours wasn't giving that maximum result. So that's why we've got two. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense for you guys. This is our active revitalising complex. So it's really fantastic for making the hair feel like hair again. So we're talking about people that have got really, can nectar go in bleach? Good question, I get that a lot. No, nectar can't go in bleach. Nectar is for cream colour only. So any oxidating cream colour, actually you can put it in our direct colours too if you want to pastelise them, but I wouldn't, because it would be a waste of nectar, because inside our new pastels or direct bangs is a small amount of nectar, and you're better to pastelise with the clear. It makes more sense profitability wise as well for salon owners, if that makes sense. Okay. With the nectar, the idea was also we wanted something where we don't need to change peroxides, we don't need to change development times, that we're able to do this service quickly and simultaneously. So it's a great way to increase our profitability, but it's also a great way to revitalise somebody's hair. If any of you guys use the nectar really well, you'll notice the condition of the hair afterwards. Can you do a standalone treatment with nectar? That's another great question. No, nectar needs to work on the inside of the hair. Is it like a rebonder, Jude? It's a different technology. So ARC technology is revitalising. So it has protective services whilst we're colouring, and that's why you can't do it as a standalone treatment. So basically our colour, our cream colour, is our vehicle to take the nectar inside the hair. If we want to do standalone treatments for rebonding for that really sensitised hair, then we need to be thinking of using Mixable Plus. But we're going to cover that on Monday. We've got a whole part designed for Mixable Plus, because Mixable Plus is for our bleach and standalone treatments. And I wouldn't want you to use nectar on the surface of the hair, because it needs to be carried on into inside of the hair. And again, it's a waste of salon owners pulling the hair out. You know, it'll be a waste of product and not using that in its designed format, really, if that makes sense. Okay, can we use it with 10 volt? Does that mean we use with Fix 2, or is it just 10 volume? Good question, Claudie. We recommend with 10 volume, but of course, if we've got very fine natural hair and we want to do a toner on highlighted hair and we use 10 volume, we have to think about that movement on very close to the root. So sometimes if the client is very warm, very hot, and remember this hair is not keratinized, it's very new, soft hair, that sometimes has a little movement with 10 volume. So you must be very careful. We talk about applying the colour not to the scalp and being able to apply the colour and comb it, so it almost doesn't touch the scalp. You'll catch it with the highlights and the comb to comb through evenly, but it's not to lay on the scalp, so we need to be careful with that. So you can use cosmetic fix if you need to, but you should be able to carry on with your 10 volume. Marcus, right? Okay, can't wait. So the next part, let's have a look. What we were just talking about then, me talking away, 1 second. We don't have nectar and we don't add it to our colours that we need to lift. So when we think about nectar, is adding colour to the hair, generally because it's lost colour, perhaps it's more porous on the ends. So the first part of here you can see on our slide here is the base. We don't add nectar to the base, usually not to use if you're lifting hair, that is very correct. So we don't use it to lift the hair or change hair colour at all. Nectar is used for, here you can see, for the mid-lengths and ends. Okay, so there, and the last one there you can see for the points where it's very porous. And there's a few different ways to be able to use nectar. So I'm going to scoot through and so that you can see. Okay, so here we have restructuring power. It's a high one for sensitized lengths and ends. And this is what we were talking about with ammonia. Right, this is our, so nectar is not too, there with the questions. This is our mixing ratios. So I'm going to talk about this. If I say it too fast, just message me, just so that you know how to use nectar and where you should be using it and how much you should be using it. So of course you can see at the top part of the graph there, where it's very dark brown and then there's no green, which is representing nectar. The dark brown is representing colour. So we don't have anything on there. That's our permanent colour. Nothing for lifting, changing tone. The next one says 1/5 of nectar. So here is when we're thinking about, we'll apply the colour to the roots and then we're going to take it through, straight through to the mid-lengths and ends straight away to have the whole time of the colour development time. And this is usually when we've got maybe 1.5 shades of lift, fading, sorry, from the hair. So we'll use 40 grams of colour, 60 grams of peroxide, which gives us 100 grams in total. We're going to say 10 volume. So that gives us 100 grams in total. Now we need 1/5 of that 100 grams. So that will be 20 grams for that part. So you can see we need more colour, less nectar, because we've got a lot of colouring to do, a lot of colour to deposit, and we need to make darker because it's had a lot of fading. Does that make sense for you guys? Is it true that nectar has to stay on for 15 minutes to do its job fully? Originally I think, yes, that's good. Yes, that's good. Oh, great. So we recommend 15 minutes generally for toning. If you look at our toning, it's done on the peroxide. So if you think 10 volume needs 25 minutes to be able to develop and have that. So when we're thinking about peroxide choice there, the slower that you want your colour to develop, so sometimes when we use cosmetic fix, it's very fast and we have to move very quickly. That's because it's got such a low volume of peroxide in it, oxidates really quick. So that's why we always recommend 10 volume with our nectar, because it's slower in oxidation and gives that time for the colour to be pulled in as much as it can. Remember, it's 10 volume, so it will be a little slower to use than your cosmetic fix. I hope that's, did that answer that for you? Great, perfect. The next one is restructuring colour. So we have a demi-permanent colour here. So for example, mine's a demi-permanent colour, so I use 10 volume with 1/3 of nectar. Excuse me. So we have 40 grams of colour, 100 grams of 10 volume, and then 33 grams of nectar. And this gives us a demi-permanent colour. It's great for clients that are new to colour. Perhaps they want something very soft just to get them started before they go on to a permanent colour. Perhaps they just want to blend a few natural greys. This would be your idea to give you a really good demi-permanent colour. And also if you've got perhaps half a shade to nearly a shade of lifting where the colour's faded out, this will give you a great restructuring colour. And then the last one is Illumina Brightening Colour Bath, which is half of the nectar. So you can see we're using a lot of nectar now, and we think about using this when we're doing toners. So for example, if I'm just changing the tone and not the depth, I'm going to be using half of the nectar. So again, 40 grams of colour, 100 grams of 10 volume, and then or 5 volume if you want, but we recommend 10 for the slowness. And then of course 50 grams of nectar, and that will give you the most amount of nectar. So it's really great after bleaching. It really puts the hair back into that really soft, vibrant feel. And that is the measurements for nectar. How's that for you guys? Cool. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. So here we've got exactly the same. There is no difference with the measurements with the fifth, a third and half. What you'll notice on this chart, of course, is if you look at the top part where it says permanent hair colour, you'll see with the MC2 there's more arc in that from the last one, if that makes sense. So when we're thinking about using why I choose MC2, perhaps the hair is very fine, very sensitized, so that would be our decision that we think, okay, we need to think about using a very gentle formula, and with that arc technology already inside, it doesn't affect that small amount doesn't affect the lifting power. Okay. And the last part, of course, you guys know that we've got the recovery shampoo and the recovery mask, and then we have the recovery spray. You guys have got this system? I think probably. No. Okay. This is our follow-on service for ARC technology from our recovery system. So when you are using a lot of the ARC to repair somebody's hair with toners, making sure you're carrying that in, you can use the spray before colouring, just very lightly, and you can use it after. It's a really fantastic for very fine hair, very fine sensitized treated hair, because what this shampoo and conditioner does is actually bulks the hair up a little bit and really helps the condition of that. So very fine bleached hair would be perfect for this. If I had somebody with super curly, thick, coarse bleached hair, the recovery mask would not be somewhere that I would go to. Sorry, the recovery shampoo would not be where I would go to. I would probably want to be using the Discipline. You could use the recovery mask for a while, but I wouldn't keep them on that. I would then move over to Discipline, because it's a real kind of gives the hair a little fullness. I don't know if any of you guys find that, but that's what it was designed to do. All right, so that is everything on that presentation that we covered on Monday and Wednesday. Is there anything else that you need to ask me for any of those other questions to do with the first part of the 3 colouring systems? Are you guys all good? Great. Brilliant. So just to remind you, for the salon owners, Debbie's on next week. I'm really excited about that one myself, because it's the 7 mistakes businesses make when in a crisis. So I'm really looking forward to catching up with Debbie on that one. She's been like a wizard to us with all her information and knowledge. And thanks you guys at Passion. Declan behind the scenes there somewhere. He's so good with all the computers. I don't think I can live without him anymore, actually. And if you guys need anything else from me, I'm going to be doing... thank you very much, Maria. I'm going to be doing next Thursday again. I will make sure my timing is correct. I will be doing something for Census the same time next Thursday. So look out for the change of time for this one, for question and answers. I'm sure you're going to have a ton, because that one's all about bleaching, lightening oil, colour removal, and those parts. So we're trying to really separate them and give you as much information as we can. And think of some questions. You guys have all got me on Facebook anyway, so and you pop it in the stylist hotline. I try to get back to you as quick as I can, but sometimes you guys, the educators, and how much knowledge you're all gaining, you guys are brilliant, because you just help each other out, so I love it. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay guys, so I'm going to leave you to your afternoon, and I'm probably going to do what we're all doing, is cooking more food. So I'll see you all next week. See you guys.